Welcome to the LegalTube podcast, presented by LawyerLocate.ca. Join us as we explore the latest trends, strategies, and tools for promoting your legal practice in the digital age. Hosted by Mark Robbins, CEO of LawyerLocate.ca, LegalTube, and Digital MSpace, where we're all about legal marketing online for Canadian lawyers. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. It's Mark Robbins here, and we're going to continue our series with Matt Fleischer, and we're going to talk more in depth about giving some really solid advice and tips to Canadian lawyers on how to market their practice digitally. So without further ado, please welcome Matt to the show.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Matt. How are you, buddy?
Good, man.
Good. So as I said in the intro, let's start because I want to refresh everybody's memory. So give us, the Coles notes on your background.
Sure. So I've been marketing since 2020 is when I really got started in the realm. And I started out with affiliate marketing. Then I moved around into basically juggling YouTube channels and different social media channels. And now I've moved more towards the B2B or business to consumer realm of advertising. So helping businesses get in front of the right people, finding their ideal audience, and getting them to convert into a paying client. That's kind of been my specialty. So more and more, I've been getting into the ad space, and now I'm firmly in the Meta ad space and the Google ad space.
Okay. So you've got pretty good solid background in marketing, and again, we're unique in this area. We're talking about a unique vertical in the Canadian legal vertical, which is somewhat different than the American legal vertical for a lot of different reasons. A lot of it has to do with provincial law societies that govern how you go about advertising, and they have a big say in what you can say and you can't say. So it is a little bit of a different minefield. It's gotten a lot better over the years. We're allowed to do a lot more marketing that wasn't available 20 years ago. So, companies like the company that sponsors us, LawyerLocate.ca, which is an online directory and referral service, they went through 25 years. And so they started off when it was first, you weren't only allowed to advertise in the yellow pages in Canada. That was it. That's all a lawyer could do. You couldn't have a print ad. You couldn't have a television ad. You couldn't have a radio ad. And 25 years ago, that started to change. And so it was a real kind of balancing act in the early years for Lawyer Locate to educate lawyers that, oh, no, you're allowed to do this. And there's a reason why you should be doing this because, the internet, they were still, a lot of lawyers back then were still, well, I go by word of mouth. That's how I run my practice. I get all I need by word of mouth. Obviously, 25 years ago, the internet wasn't what it is today, but it wasn't too long after that websites became crucial. It took a long time of educating lawyers, and we did this a lot at different functions. And we would do the Canadian Bar Association annual meetings, and I would set up a booth there, and we would talk to lawyers and explain to them what the benefits were, and that we were getting to a point, and this, Matt, where if you didn't have a website, you didn't exist.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where we are today. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a website, something that's searchable, you don't exist. So that's a bit of background to try and lay some groundwork here. But what we want to do, everybody, is that, Matt and I want to give you benefit of our experiences at no cost to try to get you to understand that there are things you can do that are not going to be time consuming. They're not going to, break up your day. If you're a sole practitioner, a lot of these things you can set up, and then you can have your assistant, just stay on top of it for you. If you're a small boutique firm, you could come together with your associates and say, hey, do we want to have one staff member that's going to work for all three of us and take care of our social media, for example? So, Matt, what would we start with as our first digital coaching advice for Canadian lawyers?
Well, I think we need to touch on, there's two things that I want to touch on first. First is that you're positioning yourself where the people that need a lawyer will be searching for a lawyer. So that means, like you said, having a website, having social media, having these different places to actually be found is really, really important. If you, like you said, if you don't have that, you're kind of an unknown, and it's going to be really difficult to get new leads in unless you're just getting referrals through other lawyers or things like that. There was this study that was done by Google, and people should Google this themselves and just take a look. But they did a study that showed that the average consumer, and this goes for products, it goes for services, it goes for legal advice, everything. But the average person needs to consume about 7 hours of content before they make a purchase on 11 different touch points on 4 different platforms. So a lot of people, I think, roll their eyes at that because it sounds so immense and so difficult to do. 7 hours of content sounds like a lot, but if you have a website already, you're already in the right direction. If you have a social media account, if you have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you're already at those touch points. So it's
Right.
really just about making sure that your practice or whatever it is that you do is very clear in what the services are that you offer and making sure that you're keeping all those things up to date. Super important.
Okay. So in the same realm, again, we will unabashedly talk about Lawyer Locate because it is the number one legal directory and legal referral service in Canada. And the reason I bring that up, obviously, I'm employed by them, is that how does this benefit lawyers right now, whether you're a known commodity or whether you're new, you're a fresh call, you're a sole practitioner, a small boutique firm? What Lawyer Locate can do for you, besides providing pre-screen qualified referrals, is it's a directory, but it's a directory that's been online for 25 years. So it's got a lot of organic search results. And for those of you out there that don't know the difference between organic SEO and paid SEO, as the example, we'll use Google. So we've all seen the Google AdWords at the top of a result, and they all say sponsored beside it. And I find I naturally stay away from them. Most people I talk to are not comfortable clicking on sponsored Google results, search results. Now, you get a result with Lawyer Locate where you're ranking higher organically. So maybe 2, 3, or 4 underneath those sponsored links. That's a value for you. Because then if they're clicking and they're looking for a lawyer in your geographic area, in your practice area, and they go to Lawyer Locate, if they've clicked through a Google search, they go to Lawyer Locate, and then they find you by your geography or by your practice areas. And Lawyer Locate's unique in that they put their directory together with the 8 major categories of law in Canada and over 250 subcategories of law. That's really important because it plays to keywords. When people are searching now, they tend to be looking for specific areas of law. So, the public is a lot more sophisticated because they know how to use Google and they know what to look for. So they are looking for. So again, this works because it's getting traffic going to your website. And once you get traffic going to your website, that's the next step is, are you getting the email submission? Are you getting the phone call?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to touch on what you're saying, it's what you're kind of suggesting, and I think people need to understand that, is that you're organically showing up in these results. So like if you get to kind of like jump ahead of everybody else because you're harnessing like you're leveraging Lawyer Locate's platform to actually just shoot up to the top of the results. Because really, once you click on the results, let's say you're number 2 or number 1 in search for a car accident lawyer in your area, then if your face is the first thing up there or this, in the top 5 or something, there's a really good chance that people are going to obviously see you, but there's a very good chance that they're going to inquire about you and, start talking to you.
Right. So, that's one. I mean, there are other directories out there. So I don't want to just be, say it's just Lawyer Locate. I mean, the uniqueness about Lawyer Locate is that they are Canadian and we're the only Canadian directory with the referral service. There's tons of directories. Most of them are managed out of the United States. I'm not saying they're good, they're bad, they're indifferent, but we have testimonials from our lawyers that have been with us for more than 20 years and swear by what our brand does for their brand. So, but moving away from that a little bit and enough with the self promotion, let's talk some more about social media because I find some of my clients and our lawyers get intimidated by social media.
Yeah.
They're either fearful of, not they don't want to use social media for their personal life. And then they're worried about if I use social media for my business, how is that going to be portrayed?
Yeah, I get that. Doing social media is not easy. It takes some amount of grit. You have to be willing to put yourself on camera or have somebody else doing it for you or whatever. Um, the big thing with social media is you got to realize and always keep in mind that it's a tool. That's all it is. It's literally an advertising platform. So when you look at something like YouTube, perfect example, Instagram, TikTok, all these things, they're made to be addictive because the more time that people watch on their platform, the more money that the platform makes. So with that in mind, when you're creating content, this is a big reason why Instagram switched from basically a photos app into a video platform. Was literally because they realized when they started to sell advertising on it that the video is what gets the engagement. People will instead of swiping through a photo in a second, they might stop on a Reels ad for 5 minutes. So keeping those people on longer, it just is it's a money machine for them. So when you're creating your content, really what you need to be doing is just creating helpful, creative stuff that is true to you. That's really what it is. I think a lot of people overthink it and they try to hire out AI companies to make them all this junky content to put out there, but it doesn't get the engagement because it's not what the platforms reward. The platform's always going to reward video content and watch time. So really the goal of whatever it is that you're creating is that you're trying to get somebody to watch to the end of whatever that is. 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, whatever it is.
Okay, and I would sorry, I would add a little pearl of wisdom here. Um, if you're going to do video content, be yourself, be real, and always, always be perceived to be offering something in an educational side for potential clients. That to me is key. You can't just go on and start do a TikTok or do an Instagram or do a YouTube short and just talk about how great your practice is and how great you are and all your successes. People will find that out. What they want to know is what are you all about and what have you got for me today? What can you teach me today that I'm not going to have to pay $350 an hour for? And that's not giving away, that's not giving legal advice because there's an issue that there's a line in Canada in law that if you cross the line and you give legal advice before you're retained, then the courts can say, well, you've been retained. That's not what we're proposing. We're saying to you in simple terms, do video content. I'm a huge proponent of short video content. Matt has a different opinion. We'll delve into that a little bit. But just, if you do a minute and a half, little blurb, you can get a lot of information out in a minute and a half. Trust me. And if you do that and you do it consistently, if you can do one a day, do it from your car. Go to TikTok, scroll, look at your competitors, look at what they're doing. That's how you can learn. It's not brain surgery. It's certainly not pleading to the Supreme Court of Canada.
Right. Well, you're building trust with people, and that's really what it's about. Like they could look at a pay, they could basically look at a list of all these lawyers, right? They're going to choose the one that they trust the most. They're going to choose the one that they they've heard them speak, what their opinions are, how they approach different things. And social media is your opportunity to do that. And a lot of people just, I think they just want to do the bare minimum. They'll just post a picture. And like you said, they just want to hard sell their services. But nobody wants to be sold to. And something else to keep in mind is there was another statistic that came out, and it said something like 2 to 3% of the people on Instagram and Facebook at any given point in time are ready to buy something, right? So that goes for buying a retainer with you or engaging or whatever. So that means that you're fighting up against everybody else going for this 2 to 3% when you really could be targeting the 97, 98% of the people that aren't ready to buy yet, just by building goodwill with them. And a perfect example of that in action is, if I don't know how you feel about Alex Hormozy, but he's built $100 million company, and he's been doing it for years just by putting out goodwill content. So if you went to his YouTube channel, it's just filled with helpful content. That's all it is. And then once in a while, every 6 years or something, he'll drop a book or he'll drop an offer and he'll actually try to sell something. But he spends so much time doing it, building up his audience with goodwill, that it hits so hard that he can afford to wait that long. So it's just an interesting
Yeah, I
thing
mean,
there.
I think that harkens back to, it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel. It's, sales and marketing has been the same thing forever, whether you're using print, whether you're using television, whether you're using radio. Then it evolved in the legal community to blogging. Blogging was king, content was king. And we have, I've had many shows where I've talked about the differences between blogging and what we used to call vlogging, but now we call podcasting. It's no secret. Anybody that follows me, my viewers and listeners, you all know what my position is on it. I believe video is king, and that I don't think blogging has the value that it used to have. And I think video has replaced blogging. There's a lot of people that are vehement, just as vehement I am, that say, no, blogging is the way to go. And I'm not telling, you out there, your lawyers that are listening or watching, or who were referred to us or gave you a clip of this that said, you might be interested in what these guys have got to say. I'm not saying that you don't blog. Okay, but I wouldn't put all your eggs in blogging to expose your practice to the general public. My experience is with legal blogging, a lot of it is at a level that most of the general public don't understand. And it's almost like you're blogging to your peers. And the problem with that is, and I used to do a lot of research because I always used to be a private investigator. So I would go and look at the comments, and then I follow where are these comments coming from? And by and large, it would be competitive lawyers are commenting on your blog. And that's not going to get one retainer check, right? So one thing I want to say, and I'm going to say it again later on the show, Matt and I are going to be doing private Zoom calls with, say, a group of 10 lawyers. There's no cost for this. It'll be free, and we will really drill down and give you step by step advice on all the aspects of digital marketing. So if you're interested in this, and this seems like something you might want to explore, leave a comment below. Let us know that you're interested, and some contact information, your email, and I'll follow up, or Matt will follow up with you, and we'll set up some dates that work for everybody involved, and we can start doing these private coaching sessions. Matt, you want to speak on that a little bit?
I do, yeah. I mean, look, if you're a solo practitioner in Canada and you're trying to get leads in the door, you're just trying to figure out how to maybe improve the profitability of your practice, whatever marketing questions that you have, that's the point of the Zoom call, is so that we can actually interface with you and you get to ask your questions and we get to answer them. We get to show you some stuff that we can't show you on YouTube. There's different tools and things that we can also dig into. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity because it's literally no cost to you. All you got to do is show up and you get free help. So I don't know. I don't know about you, but
Exactly.
that sounds like a good deal, right? Usually you'd
Yeah, I
have to
mean,
pay
and it's,
thousands for that.
people, and I'm the one to say that, sometimes it's too good to be true. You get what you pay for. Well, what the reality is, like I said, I'm not hiding the fact that part of this process of helping you is intended to help us. It's intended to help Lawyer Locate. It's intended to help Matt and his company. That's we're not hiding that fact, but we feel that by giving goodwill, by giving you and teaching you how to do these simple things that will help increase your traffic online, that we're giving you a value for your time. And again, and then if you decide that you start looking at our company, Lawyer Locate or LegalTube, and you say, well, I might want a podcast, and well, Mark can help me with that. And I might want to look at some different type of advertising. Well, that Matt guy can maybe help walk me through how I do all that stuff. So we're trying to do what we're going to try to teach you to do, is give something of value that doesn't have a hook on it, and people will come. People will come.
Yeah. And it's very, like, I think one thing to mention is that it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be hard to do. You can do this stuff and you can start making very small steps in the direction of creating content or whatever it is. Small steps, low effort, and you can see really fast results, especially with social media. You get the right posts out there, positioned the right way, and it can blow up and it can change everything.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about, well, I know you do a lot, probably more meta advertising than Google AdWord advertising. But let's talk about the two, because I have a pretty strong opinion that the two are diametrically opposed and different from a number of levels.
Yeah. So for meta ads, it's more interest based. So you're not quite bidding on a keyword. So on Google, that is generally how it works, is that people are bidding on different keywords. Accident lawyer near me, whatever. That is the old method. It still works. It still works really well. It can be very expensive if you don't know how to do the research for the keywords, because there's ways that you can figure out. Like, if you were to ask me, like, do you think you can predict that somebody's going to need rehab in 6 months just based on their search results? The answer is probably yes, right? Because they're going to start looking up things like, maybe they're having memory loss or they're having trouble with their marriage and different things like that. So it's really with those entry points that you can start winning on Google. That's the Google spiel. For meta ads, it's more of an interest-based thing. And again, it goes back to watch time, and it goes to their AI, which basically is the algorithm that's deciding to show people certain pieces of content at the right time to the right person. And with meta ads, why I like it, and what most people get wrong about it, is that they don't harness any of the data that you're able to retrieve from the platform. What they'll do is they'll run ads to a cold audience because they're just not educated in how it works. And what they do is they end up bidding on that 2 to 3% of the population, and they end up running out of budget like really quickly. So that is, and I'm sure if you're listening, if you've ever advertised on Meta, and if you had a bad experience, that's usually why, is because you're kind of hitting the same audience as your competition. Drives the cost up. It hurts the targeting of finding the right people. It's all negative. It's all bad. And there's a lot of volatility in that as well, because the AI doesn't know who to show your content to.
Right.
And then with the method that I like to use is by harnessing the data, and we're really start building basically like custom audiences where we're watching who's watching our stuff, and we're going off of watch time. We're going off of different metrics like that, where we're really narrowing the focus into the people that are most interested in what we have to offer. And that is really strong, because let's say I put out a 5-minute video about being an accident lawyer in a specific field or whatever, and I give you 5 minutes of helpful content, and somebody is interested enough to watch to the end, well, there's a good chance that they're interested in what I have to say, right? And what that's going to tell Meta is it's going to send the signal, show this person more stuff like that. So it might be your competition, it might be more of your content or your ads. And that's really what the game is that, as I said before, it's about 7 hours of content, 11 touch points, 4 different platforms. People need to feel trust, they need to feel certain about you, and they really need to know what the end result is going to be before they make a move. And meta ads is, I think, a fantastic way to do that because of how it's engineered. You can get in front of those people multiple times over time and warm them up.
Yeah, and
Wow.
again, part of what you're saying, and I get it. Just as a consumer, I'm on Facebook for my personal accounts, and of course I look at an ad. Doesn't matter what it might be for, because I'm an EV owner, so I look at an ad for a new adapter. All of a sudden, I'm just getting a stream of new adapter ads that are showing up in my Facebook stream. It's annoying, and I get it, and I know there's a lot of people that kind of feeds the fear factor. Oh, they're just gathering, they're listening to me, they're watching me, and I'm not even gonna. The only thing I'm gonna say about that thought process is everybody needs to do a reality check. If you think that Facebook and Google are watching you, guess what? They are.
Yeah.
Every time you touch your keyboard and you put something online, it's there forever. You give that right the minute you log on. So, I've always taken the position, even as a retired private investigator, you go walk around any major city in North America and actually the world, you're on camera everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you're being filmed. That's just a fact of life. Every bank ATM machine you walk past, you're being filmed. That's the world we live in. But from bringing it back to point on the focus, part of the reason why I don't personally recommend Google AdWord campaigns, we do them, we do them for clients, is the biggest problem in the legal vertical is the keywords are stupid expensive. So you talk about actual, up here we call it personal injury. Okay, so personal injury, which is kind of the high dollar, can be high dollar settlement type of practice. Any of the words that you want in there, you're paying big bucks for, and there's no guarantees. Folks, we were Google partners. Lawyer Locate and Digital M Space were Google partners for years, and we had a great relationship with them. But you start to see through the cracks, and you start to see where we can't prevent just Joe Blow clicking. There's no check. There's no check and balance there that says what prevents my competitor, as an example, of seeing that ad and just click, 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 or have everybody in his office do it once. Right? Now, there is some safety valves because they do try to limit it to one IP address and all that, but there's ways around it. So I'm not a big fan of that. My knock, if it is Matt with Meta, is I'm not convinced. I'm convinced that for lawyers, Meta will work. But if we were talking about, say, like we wanted to advertise for Lawyer Locate, national directory and referral service, how would we use Meta to target lawyers only, not clients? So that's a discussion for another day. But those are kind of the things that and these are the things that we're trying to teach you out there. The thought process that you've got to put into what do you want to get for your advertising dollar? Like you have to determine your budget and then how to best apply that budget in different forms of digital advertising. Right now, do you take some of that budget and do meta ads? Sure. Do you take some of that budget and say, well, I want to put this into social media, so I'm going to either hire someone in my office or talk to some of my sports staff and who may have, a lot of the younger people. It seems to come naturally for them that they get social media because they're on it all the time. I mean, you walk around your office, Mr. Lawyer, at lunchtime, and what do you see your staff doing? I'll guarantee you what you see them doing is they've got a phone in their hand and they're on social media.
Yep.
Right. So again, these are little nuggets that we're sharing with you. Write them down, because these are valuable tools that people like Matt and myself have learned over the years through trial and error and research. And we know what works. We know what's not working. We know what worked in the past and what's changing. And these are, again, back to that, what we said earlier today, back to the private Zoom call. That's where you can sit down and we can literally give you step by step by step by step guides on how to set up your social media, how to start to drive traffic to your website. And that's the value that you're going to get by joining us.
Yeah. And I think, just as a side note, because I think a lot of people think that advertising has to be super ultra expensive without yielding a result first. But, you can do it on a budget, and you can do it with, you don't have to necessarily use Meta ads or Google. You could do a press release. You can guest blog. You can just start putting out systematized content that hits certain entry points into your type of practice, which is really what I was hinting at before, where do you think you could predict that somebody would need rehab in 6 months by their search, whatever their searches are?
Right.
You do the same with law. It would be just creating that content that kind of leads people into what you have to do. And you're doing it in a really natural way because you're ultimately helping these people.
Right. And again, I can't emphasize enough in Canadian lawyers. I don't care what your practice is, if you're a criminal lawyer, if you're a family law lawyer, if you're an employment law lawyer, get on the internet and look at what your competitors are doing. Go on YouTube, Google, and search for whatever, Canadian family law lawyers or Toronto family law, whatever, and start to see what's the content that they're putting out there. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? You're going to learn, and you're going to self-educate yourself. Well, I think I can do that better. And that's the whole idea. I can give you lists of names. I can Paul Deshenko. Just go look at his YouTube channel. Look at Kyla Lee's YouTube channel. There's two Vancouver DUI lawyers. They're brilliant. I mean, Kyla has like on her TikTok and on her YouTube short show, her stuff is brilliant, and she's constantly answering questions and giving information about DUI in British Columbia, about what the cops can do, what the cops can't do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. It's great content, and it's so valuable. And of course, she's getting results. Of course, they're getting clients because of taking the time to put this content out there.
Yeah. And it's not just, look, the information exists everywhere, right? It's not a lack of info. It's not like you can't just go online and Google and search for all the different laws and how they might apply to an upcoming case. Let's say I'm looking for somebody and I
Right.
have questions. It's like that information's out there and it's free. What you're able to do with social media is that you're able to frame that information with your own lens of who you are, what you're about, why people should trust you, and put your own spin on it. Just like that what's her name? Kayla, who you just
Kyla
mentioned?
Lee, yeah, Kyla Lee. She's a Vancouver DUI lawyer, criminal lawyer. You should
Right.
look her up, Matt.
So everything that she's doing, and I will look her up, but everything that she's doing is probably public, it's all public information.
Yep.
Anybody can go out there and find it, but she's getting out in front of people because she's putting out content that people are actively searching for. So she's the new result at the top for these different things. And you don't have to think of it like a direct competitor to yourself. Oh, I can't do it because she already did it. You have to start looking at your niche and just drilling down into things that help people.
Yeah, I mean, we produce an employment law lawyer in Markham, Stuart Rudner, and we do his podcast monthly. It's Fire Away podcast, and it's wonderful. And we also handle all of his social media, so all of his stuff's on all the platforms. And if you go and take a look at Fire Away, you can Google that as well. You can get an idea of how a podcast can work, and yes, it's video, but we also put it out in audio form, so it goes out as like a podcast. Traditionally was just audio. The video is a new thing that's come out, and it always used to be just audio only. So if you go to Apple Podcasts or whatever, you'll find Fire Away. and you can hear it in just audio while you're driving your car, which is how podcasting kind of took off, was especially in major cities like Toronto and like New York, where you're in traffic hell. You had something besides shitty music and commercials to listen to. You'd listen to your favorite podcast. So that's another one that don't sell short podcasting, because that's a tremendous vehicle that has tremendous reach and very niche orientated. So if you were to do a half hour, 20-minute podcast, it does 20 minutes, and pick your topic, have a guest that you can debate with, have point counterpoint, right? That's the kind of stuff that people are interested in. They want to hear it. They would follow you. And then if they're following you, maybe it's a friend of a friend of a friend. Oh yeah, I've got this problem. My buddy, he's kind of keeping it quiet. He got nailed for DUI. Oh, listen, I know this lawyer, and you're in Vancouver, right, John? Yeah. I know this lawyer. I've listened to her and I've seen her on TikTok. You should give her a call. I think it's Kyla Lee. I'll send you a link. That's how it works today.
That is how it works. Absolutely.
Send me the link, not the phone number. Send me the link.
Yep.
Right. So
and that's how you get to 7 hours so quickly too. If you think about it, a lot of people get intimidated by that. I think the 7-hour statistic, and it's like, if you did 3 or 4 podcast episodes, you posted on Instagram, you made a YouTube video or 2, you're gonna hit the 7 hours really quickly.
Oh, for sure. And again, the 7 hours, that I want to help be clear for everybody. We're not saying you have to have 7 different hours on 7 different platforms. No, you do it for one, and then you share it on all your other platforms. So that accomplishes the 7 hours in 20 minutes. So if you do a 20-minute podcast, okay, once a week, you're going to be over that 7 hours, right? And then if you do the podcast like we recommend, so we do podcasts with video and audio. So you put the podcast out on YouTube and on Instagram and all your platforms as the video podcast. And then you take the audio when you're using whatever podcast platform is hosting you. Then that's the one that you put out the audio, and you're going to get, so basically twice the bang for your buck.
Got to leverage that stuff.
Yeah,
it's easy to leverage. It's super easy to leverage.
Yeah. So Matt, what else are we going to give them today?
I think we gave them some good stuff. I think what you can do if you're trying to get started right now, if you're unsure what to do, how to even get started, what I would do is I would open up whatever AI chat program you want to use. You can use ChatGPT free version. You don't have to pay.
Right.
And what I would do is I would start asking it questions about what an ideal client would be searching for if they were looking for whatever kind of practice you do. So family law, put it in there. Estate law, put it in there. And start looking at what you're going to try to angle for is you want it to give you kind of like a list of entry points into your niche, right? Somebody passed away in the family. A sister is suing her brother, whatever it is, right? And you're going to start seeing all these opportunities within there because there's an infinite amount of combinations that you can figure this stuff out. And just try making a video. Make one. That's it.
And you know what? I'm going to add to this. Here's your real freebie that you can touch, feel, taste. I will provide you, if you leave your name in the comments or your email address in the comments, I will send you a prompt that you can put into ChatGPT or whatever platform that will prevent the hallucinations. And if you don't know what hallucinations are, basically ChatGPT, if you don't proofread 3 or 4 times, will make stuff up. It'll make shit up just to fit the format of your question. The devil with AI, what we've learned the devil's in the details. The devil is in the prompt. You have to make sure you can't just I know they're pushing this, well, you can just talk with ChatGPT and have a conversation. No, bullshit. It's garbage in, garbage out. So
exactly.
The form or the prompt I will send you, if you leave your name, Basically, it gets embedded. Now, I'll do a step-by-step to show you how to do it. It's very simple. You'll cut and paste it into this section in ChatGPT, and it basically creates its personality. And then there's other options to select different types of characters. They have an analyzing one. There's ones in there now that start to really double check on what the content is they're putting out. So we'll give you that for free. Just down there.
That, on the call, we can also show them how to do this.
Yeah.
Do some really advanced stuff with it.
Exactly. Because I love AI, and I play with it a lot, and it's a great tool, and there's nothing to be afraid of. You have to be in control of it. Not AI can't control you. You have to control AI.
You have to drive it, and you have to be very intentional with what it is that you're asking it, because it will always try to appease you. So you got to make sure that it's not just blowing smoke up your ass, and that it's actually,
for those of you out there that may understand this, like Discord, which is an AI editing tool for video and audio. They recently released their AI called Underlord. And so I started playing with it because we normally create our own video and then dump it in there. And so I started asking, I want you to create a video ad that's 45 seconds long for a certain law firm's category of law in a certain area in Canada. And it was hell. I mean, the stuff it was spewing out was just utter garbage. And I said, no. I want real people, real motion in a lawyer's office. And, I'm describing the scenes I wanted it to create. And even today, it's still not there yet. So it's not where you can just say, okay, create my ad with, a female lawyer discussing with a client her potential case, and keep it under 60 seconds. Well, it's not going to work. That's it. You need to really give a lot of information to get a lot of information out.
Yeah, it's all about stacking and how you build the conversation. You can't really just do it with one prompt. You have to kind of talk to it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Matt, this has been great as usual. So this was number 3 in our series. There will be more coming, so stay tuned. Hit like, subscribe. That way you'll know when the shows are coming up. If you want to get in touch with Matt, he'll tell you before we finish here, but you can see in the descriptions all the information on how to get a hold of Matt, or how to get a hold of me, or Lawyer Locate, or LegalTube, or Digital M Space. All that information will be on our YouTube channel. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast today. Please leave your comments, your suggestions, your criticisms. We want to hear from you. I want to hear that we're actually reaching to you, and we're giving you something that you might be interested in. Matt, how do they get a hold of you?
I'm mostly on Instagram, so you can go to the Secret Matt Show. We'll drop a link down below, but I post a lot of business-related content on there about advertising, getting leads, all that kind of stuff. So it's a good resource, I think.
Terrific. Matt, thank you once again. I really appreciate it. Folks, that's it for this time. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you pass it on to others, and I hope to have you hear us again soon. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the LegalTube podcast. Ready to take your legal marketing to the next level? Our show delivers expert insights and practical advice to help you succeed in today's competitive legal landscape. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this podcast is for you. For more information, check out LawyerLocate.ca. And if you have any questions, get in touch with us. Thanks for listening.